Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to you. This is another episode of Encounter. Today we have Miss Kaushani Desai, who is a cooking Ayurvedic expert. Miss Desai, thank you very much for being with us in the studios of the MBC.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Please explain to us what is the principle of Ayurvedic cooking.
Our principle of Ayurvedic cooking is that the food which we prepare should be suitable for the person who will eat it, because in Ayurveda there are 3 constitutions and everything depends on that: Vata, Pitta and Kapha. So the food should be suitable to individual, and the prana, that is life force, should remain in the food, and it should enhance the health of the person who eat it. With that also we take care that the food is tasty, not only healthy, because when it comes to health, people think that food is not so interesting when it is healthy and it's a little bit boring and hard to eat. So we just want to crack that myth about healthy food. So basically we concentrate on 5 senses. The food which we prepare in Ayurvedic way should satisfy all the 5 senses. It should look good, it should smell good, it should taste good.
You should feel good.
Yeah, and you should feel good.
You also have the sense of hearing, right?
Yeah, so you should praise after eating.
You should praise after eating. Excellent, excellent. So why is it important to satisfy all the 5 senses when you eat?
Because we do everything in life to satisfy 5 senses. We don't do anything out of the 5 senses. And that's why it is very important when we eat food that it should touch all the 5 senses. It should satisfy the person. It should give joy to the mind. Heart should also feel happy.
So Ms. Desai, please tell us, how do you find yourself being an Ayurvedic cooking specialist?
When I studied my food and nutrition, when I was finishing the last year, I got opportunity to do my internship in a hospital.
Yes.
And that's compulsory for all the students. So I was in a children's hospital, and there was some general ward also. So like pregnant women, then burn patients, small kids. And I got 2 patients for me to study, and one was 85% burn patient, and he used to work in a chemical factory. So they used to have big tanks with chemical, and he was inside the chemical. While coming out, it catch the fire and he got burned before he come out. Second patient was pregnant woman, and I found out it's so difficult to handle both of them, because it's so easy when we plan on paper the recipe.
Yes.
You are the king and queen to decide what to add. But when you have third person to eat and judge you, that's where the practical knowledge comes. And these 2 were not ready to do what I say. And they started hating me because I was telling them to eat good food, and they were having a lot of pain and they were not in mood to eat good food or healthy food. So that's the time I decided I need something new. I cannot just go with this amount of knowledge in life, because I always wanted to help society, help people.
So in those 2 cases, what was the healthy and good food, if I can ask, for those specific cases?
Yeah, I told them to have more protein, which helped them to heal the skin, and more vitamin-rich food, more juices, salads, and they were not ready for that. They were asking for some medicine which can reduce the pain.
Of course, yes.
Instead of eating food. And that clicked my brain that food is not the only thing in all situations that you desire for. So if you are in pain, even if there is pani puri, pizza or cheese or chocolate in front of you, you don't feel like eating it.
You want a painkiller.
Yeah, you want a painkiller. Of course,
you want to alleviate the pain so that you feel better.
Yeah, so then I asked my father, because he is into Ayurveda, he believes in Ayurveda. And in our family from childhood, I was seeing that lot of importance to Ayurveda is given. So I asked him, and I got some amla juice with some turmeric for him for healing to the skin. and he accepted that first time from my hand something, the patient, and he tried it, and in a week he felt very good. So then I believe that instead of focusing more into nutrient and making up the recipe, healing food is something necessary for the society if you are working with food and with patients. So that's how I changed my mind. And then I learned a little bit about naturopathy also. And I was there for 6 months. I studied that also. But there also I felt after over a period of time that it's not giving solution for everything. And that's how I thought I should start with Ayurveda. I should learn what is Ayurveda and include that knowledge with the knowledge which I have and experiment and innovate something new, like fusion, which can help people.
So how has been the reaction so far from people?
I think if the workshop which I'm taking here is my 448th workshop. So if I have traveled so far, I think it's working on people. Otherwise not. It's difficult to travel, especially in a new country. You are, interacting with new people.
Different way of living,
is
different way of eating, different food available.
Yeah, and if they accept it and they see some change in them, I think it's working.
Have doctors approved the Ayurvedic cooking in a way of, I think it's more of a way of living, but also patients recovering from diseases?
Yeah.
Is it backed by science and medical doctors?
Yeah. And approval of Ayurvedic doctor is more important for me. And medical doctor can only approve it if they see the result. Yeah. But to get the result, the basic knowledge will come from Ayurvedic doctors. And there are books in Ayurveda about food because everything in Ayurveda is based on 5 elements. And even the food we eat are made out of 5 elements. So there are books about vegetable, fruits, spices, about everything what we eat, the nature of that food, whether it's hot or cold, light and heavy, oily or dry, which elements are present there in more amount. And that decides whether it's good for which Vata, Pitta and Kapha, which constitution the food is suitable. And everything is linked and precise.
We find in society nowadays that stress is a major issue. So how do you deal with stress through Ayurvedic cooking? Is there a direct correlation?
To reduce stress, you need more energy, that is high prana.
Yes.
And that reduces the stress. So you need to eat food which is high in prana and reduce the food which increases stress. Like.
So what are the foods that increase prana energy and what are the foods that
which increase stress?
Yes. Please share with us.
Prana increasing food is fresh food, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, grains, millets, nuts, dry fruits and oil seeds. Anything which is natural increases prana.
So I'm guessing no meat?
No meat.
Is there a reason why there's no meat?
Yeah, because it increases stress. When you kill the animal itself is in stress. They are not happy that come and kill me and eat me.
Of course.
So that stress remains in that animal and will pass to the person who eat it. And then we don't eat it raw, we cook it. So we reduce more prana from that. And for human body, animal like meat and beef and eggs and fish.
Meat in general.
Yeah, meat in general is not high prana food because our body cannot digest it very well and cannot, work on this. So that's why food which is vegetarian and fresh is high in prana. Food which is very popular nowadays like junk food, fast food, processed food, refined food, tinned and canned food, deep fried food, frozen food and stale foods. I say it ancient food. Like you cook today and eat it tomorrow is ancient food.
Yes.
It's not fresh.
It's not fresh.
So all these things decreases prana and increases stress. So if we can stay away from these things, we can reduce the stress on food level.
So food that increase energy, food that decrease stress, but don't you think it is more important to eat consciously, to be aware of eating while you're doing the process, which is most important?
That is the second level. First, you need to eat something which is healthy, and the second level is how you eat it. So that's why in the course, in the workshop, in Ayurveda, it's very important how you eat. So drink your food and eat your water. That's the tagline.
Drink
very
your
important.
food, eat your water.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
That makes the sense when you eat it in this way. Maybe it's not sounding
It doesn't sound
sensible,
right at all,
but
no.
when you practice, it's very sensible.
So please explain to us, how do you eat
Yeah.
water and drink food?
Drink food means chew it each bite 32 times.
32 times.
32 times because we have 32 teeth. So for each teeth once we need to chew. Otherwise, what is the point of having 32 teeth? I always say if you don't use it, you lose it. So if you don't want to lose your teeth, you better use them.
Okay.
Once you chew 32 times the food, it becomes liquid and easy to drink it. And the reason behind chewing it in mouth, because we have teeth in mouth, not in the stomach. If we don't chew food in the mouth, we cannot chew it in the stomach.
So is this a major issue nowadays, that people don't chew their food properly? In a way, they take the process of eating food for granted?
That's the main reason for losing health. So if you eat healthy but you don't chew it properly, there is no point of eating it.
But 32 times is a lot of chewing.
Yeah, it's
for
a lot of
every
chewing.
spoon I eat is 32 times.
Yeah. See, when we learn to
So
brush
basically
teeth,
that would take half an hour at least just to have a meal.
no, you know, practice can improve you.
So you
You
chew
can
faster.
speed up, yeah. And then concentrating while eating to food, not in your mobile, on
Or
newspaper,
watching TV or
watching
anything.
TV. Then you lose your concentration. Then you lose your count also.
Okay.
And that's how you gulp food instead of chewing it.
So they say that you should eat in family, so everyone should be eating together and chewing 32 times and
Yeah.
counting and not talking.
Yeah. You eat with your family, but you be with yourself when you eat food.
Okay.
Yeah. You concentrate on food. Be one with the food. Feel the food. That's very important.
So it's important to count when you eat
Initially.
I mean, I don't do that, but I'm
Initially.
trying to think, if I have to count 32 times with every
Bite.
bite that I have, it would be, it's like homework.
It's difficult initially.
Yes.
But once you feel, you experience the goodness out of this action, then it becomes your habit and then no need to count. You know exactly now at this point, this is enough. Now you chewed properly and you can drink this.
So by the time that you've chewed 32 times, there's also a liquid that gets released into your mouth that will facilitate your digestion.
Yeah.
That's why you said drink your food, because by the time you've chewed 32 times, it's become
A lot
more or
of
less
saliva
liquid. Yeah,
is
yeah,
there, and saliva is alkaline in nature.
Okay.
And human body's pH is alkaline. And chewing food, one of the purpose is, you know, having more saliva mixed with the food, and that helps you in digestion.
Why is it important for the digestion?
See, when you chew food properly, the first step or the initial step for digestion is over. Now only your stomach has to digest the food. No need to do much effort on that. And that's why it has more impact, because it's easy to digest. So if it's not getting digested, it will stay there, it will start fermenting and produce these toxins.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is the problem.
That's the problem. And that is the cause for disease. So that's why chewing is very important if you want to be healthy.
So how do you eat water?
So take sip, and drink. Again, when you sip and move little bit the water in your mouth, little bit of movement of your mouth, and you produce saliva.
Yeah.
Now water is base in nature. It's neither alkaline nor acidic. But human body's stomach has acid,
Yes.
which we use to digest the food. So when we gulp the water, it will get mixed with the acid in the stomach and will become acidic, which is against the pH of human body. It's contradictory.
So that's why you said you move the water in your
Yeah,
mouth
in
so
your
that
mouth
the saliva will
will
help
get
with the
mixed,
acidity.
and now the water is alkaline in the mouth.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
when you drink it, when you swallow it,
Yeah,
acid plus alkaline is equal to neutral.
of course.
Yeah? So that can also reduce lots of problems.
Is there a proper way to prepare food?
Yes. There are many ways to prepare food nowadays. And out of those ways, there are some proper and some are improper. And people use more improper ways to cook food.
What are the improper ways?
Improper ways means too much cooking.
People tend to overcook.
Overcook the food. When there is nothing present in the food, no prana or very less amount of prana, then we eat it. So
Okay.
then that food cannot help much to the body, because the food itself has to have something to help you, to nourish you,
Of course.
right? So overcooking and then enjoying overcooked food. And we believe, like when we eat bhindi,
Yeah.
the lady,
Lady
finger,
finger.
if it's crunchy, when if it's full of oil, we think it's very tasty, and that's the only way to eat it. So if it's not crunchy, if it's little soft, it's little slimy, oh, it's not good to, it's not properly cooked.
But ladyfinger has various properties that are very, very important to help the human body.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then the way of cooking should be changed. Our perception towards cooked food should be changed.
So would you advise people to more or less eat, I wouldn't say raw food, but semi-cooked food? How would it taste?
I will say
it's a bit
proper cooked
confusing.
food,
Properly,
not overcooked.
not overcooked.
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line?
So that's why we give a lot of importance to steaming, and if not steaming, stir frying.
Okay.
These are solar cooking. These three things are very useful to retain the nutrient level in the food, the prana level in the food, and also raw food like fruits,
Yep. Yep.
ripe fruits which are uncooked, dry fruits which you don't cook and eat, sprouts which you can have uncooked, salads, raw vegetable juices, fruit juices, fresh one.
Yes.
These things, if we have more in our diet, and then in less amount what we love to eat actually, so that combination can also help to balance.
There's also a known fact that people tend to eat their fruits after a main course rather than
Before.
half an hour before. Please share with us, why is it important to rather have your fruits first and then your main course?
Fruits take a minimum time for digestion.
20-25 minutes.
20 minutes to 60 minutes.
Yeah.
If the digestion is not properly working, then it can take up to 60 minutes. But other foods like vegetables and cooked food will take like 2 hours
to reach.
or more than 2 hours for the complete digestion. So meanwhile we digest other food, the fruits which take less time will start fermenting. And that's why fruits are always to be eaten alone on empty stomach to get the maximum out of it and not to be mixed with food.
So if we're having what I'm saying main course, it could be breakfast, lunch or dinner. So you're having your food and you're having fruits after it. So even by the time it reaches the stomach, the fruit is already very much degraded and deteriorated.
Yeah, so what we can do, we can just give little bit gap between the lunch, breakfast and dinner and fruits.
Okay.
So if somebody really wants to have fruits and they love fruits, little bit they should wait after eating lunch at least 2 to 3 hours. Let that lunch get digested very well, and then you can have fruits.
Because the digestion for food is different to the
than
digestion of the fruits. All
and
right,
even
okay.
the enzymes needed
Of
for the
course.
digestion is different. And that's why we should have some gap in between different food groups.
So it's either fruits half an hour before a main course or 2 hours
2
after.
to 3 hours.
2 to 3 hours after. But
And
don't mix and match.
That also when we have simple food. If we have deep fried food,
That's
And
even.
it takes more time.
It takes more
and then
time.
we need to wait little more.
Is it important to have a specific diet plan according to specific body types?
Yeah, it's very important. And then people have the question that different people in the family have different constitution, and you cannot cook for each and everyone different food. So that's how spices help us to balance the food.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's how you cook in a family then?
Yeah. So you
Okay.
use the spices. You need to have the knowledge about spices, which one to go with which food. And that's how you balance the food and cook same thing for everyone, and then it's not like too much of cooking in the family for different people, different food. You can cook same thing.
How does spices help in that way?
So we use different spices like turmeric, cumin seeds, then black pepper, ginger, mustard seeds, and saffron and cardamom. So different spices also have different nature.
Different
So
properties. yeah.
different properties, different nature. There are some spices which are hot by nature, some which are cold by nature. And just we need to use according to the nature of the spices with the food's nature, combine the right combination. Spices is there to give flavor, because
course.
if you don't use any spices, food won't be so tasty or palatable. So spices will add the flavor to food, and also medicinal property. All the spices carry some medicinal property, and that helps to balance the food. And using spices is important, and everywhere in this world people use some spices like black pepper, salt, ginger, some natural herbs like thyme is very common here,
Yes.
then rosemary, then celery, parsley, coriander, mint, and all these things, all these herbs also we can use to balance the food.
Okay, I'm hungry. During all the years that you have been carrying out workshops, sharing and teaching people about Ayurvedic cooking, what are the foods you would recommend to people to eat more regularly than others, and what foods would you recommend not to eat?
So in all the trends, or traditionally in all the places, there are some things which are positive and good. If we can adopt them more, and if we can increase those things, those habits, it will be good. So just by just by following the tradition, the real tradition, not the tradition which we have changed, and then we believe this is tradition, not like that. So have more light food, have more food which is easy to digest. So also it depends on the digestion process of individual. So first we need to improve the digestion of individual, so that if they have something heavy with something light, they are able to digest it very well. So we work on digestion in the workshop. We help them to improve their digestion. And then more light food, more easy to digest food, and less amount of heavy food. If you keep your diet like this, then it helps.
All right, all right.
So you can have junk food, you can have fast food, you can have food which we love to eat, but in less amount. And then also, you can change your attitude, being little more spiritual.
Of course.
Spirituality will bring lot of awareness towards right things, and then your love also changes. If you practice spirituality, you observe that you change after a period of time, and your love also changes. Maybe you like chocolate when you are small, but when you are spiritual, you practice spirituality, then maybe you start loving more fruits, more vegetable, and then your body will crave for the food which is good for you.
So you start listening to your body also.
Yeah, and then you follow it, and then everything is in place.
Ms. Desai, thank you very much for all these insights. It has been such a pleasure having you for this episode of Encounter.
Welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of this episode. You will be having an email address displaying at the bottom of your screen. Your suggestions, your proposals are always welcome. Thank you very much for your time. We have now come to the end of this episode. We'll catch you again next week at the same time on the same channel.